Ta xem tiếp về nhà máy điện sử dụng năng lượng gió. Hiện nay năng lượng gió cũng được sử dụng rất là nhiều trên thế giới và năng lượng gió được phát triển rất nhanh. Chúng ta xem các cái clip để chúng ta có thể có một cái nhìn tổng quát về năng lượng gió.
We've all seen those creaky old windmills on farms, and although they may seem about as low-tech as you can get, those old windmills are the predecessors for new modern wind turbines that generate electricity. The same wind that used to pump water for cattle is now turning giant wind turbines to power cities and homes. Okay, have a look at this wind farm in the California desert. A hot desert next to tall mountains, an ideal place for a lot of wind. Here's another one on the windy prairies of Wyoming. Now, today's wind turbines are much more complicated machines than the old prairie windmills, but the principle is the same. Both capture the wind's energy. Okay, here's how it works. First, a wind turbine blade works sort of like an airplane wing. Blowing air passes around both sides of the blade. The shape of the blade causes the air pressure to be uneven, higher on one side of the blade and lower on the other. And that's what makes it spin. The uneven pressure causes the blades to spin around the center of the turbine. On the top, there's a weather vane that's connected to a computer to keep the turbine turned into the wind so it captures the most energy. Now, the blades are attached to a shaft, which only turns about 18 revolutions a minute. And that's not nearly fast enough to generate electricity by itself. So, the rotor shaft spins a series of gears that increase the rotation up to about 1,800 revolutions per minute. And at that speed, the generator can produce a lot of electricity. So, why are wind turbines so tall? Well, the higher up you go, the windier it is. More wind naturally means more electricity. And in many cases, larger turbines can also capture wind energy more efficiently. The blades can sweep a circle in the sky as long as a football field. Now, what's really cool is that even a small wind farm, like this one in Wyoming, can generate enough electricity to power more than 9,000 homes. And larger farms can provide much more clean energy for our homes and businesses.
Chúng ta xem tiếp một video clip thứ hai để chúng ta biết rõ thêm về hiệu suất rồi các cái tính năng của các cái tua bin gió.
Every 24 hours, wind generates enough kinetic energy to produce roughly 35 times more electricity than humanity uses each day. And unlike coal or oil, this resource is totally renewed each day. So how can we harness this incredible amount of energy? And is it possible to create a world powered entirely by wind? The basic principle of wind energy is simple. A series of sails or blades mounted around a rotor catch the wind and translate its kinetic energy into rotational energy. Traditional windmills use that rotational energy to grind wheat or pump water. But in modern wind turbines, it turns a generator that creates electricity. This conversion from wind to rotational energy to electricity has defined wind turbines since their invention in the late 19th century. And there are three primary factors that determine just how much energy they can produce: the size and orientation of the blades aerodynamic design, and the amount of wind turning the rotor. First up, blade orientation. Wind turbines can be designed with their rotor on a vertical axis or a horizontal axis. Vertical blades can pick up wind coming from any direction, but with much less efficiency than horizontal axis rotors. Horizontal designs allow blades to capture the wind's full force by tracking the wind's direction and turning to face it. This turning process is called yawing, and older windmills achieved it through manual monitoring. Today, wind sensors and computer systems automatically adjust the blades with expert precision to capture as much energy as possible. Outside rotor orientation, the blades themselves need to be shaped to maximize efficiency. While early designs used flat blades, modern blades are curved like airplane wings. Wind travels faster over the curved surface, creating a low-pressure pocket above the blade that forces it upwards. Since the amount of lift depends on the angle at which the wind is moving relative to the blade, modern blades also incorporate a twist, optimizing how much of the blade can cut into the wind. Made of fiberglass and resin layers, these blades are strong enough to operate through rain, lightning, and blistering sunlight for over 20 years. Even with aerodynamic blades and a horizontal rotor, a wind turbine can only capture wind if it's in a windy environment. Wind speeds typically increase the higher into the atmosphere you travel. So today, most turbines are well over 100 meters tall, with equally large rotor diameters. A turbine of this height and size can capture a huge amount of wind, generating enough electricity every year to power 750 American homes. A wind farm of 200 similarly sized turbines could power over 150,000 American homes, or twice as many European homes, for an entire year. Offshore wind farms contain an even greater number of even larger turbines. In 2019, the largest wind turbine ever built began operating off the coast of the Netherlands. With a rotor diameter of 220 meters, just one of these turbines can meet the annual power needs of 16,000 European households. Despite its amazing potential, wind energy still faces challenges. Wind may be a free and unlimited fuel, but no matter how large or efficient a turbine is, there's a mathematical limit to how much wind it can convert into electricity. German physicist Albert Betz calculated that since some wind must remain to keep the blades spinning, a turbine can only ever capture 59.3% of the wind's energy. Additionally, some people feel turbines disrupt natural scenery, and wind energy's intermittent availability can make it difficult to integrate into electrical grids. But even with these challenges, modern wind turbines have made wind energy the most efficient and inexpensive source of electricity. Wind turbines already provide essential energy for communities around the world, and for many farmers, hosting a wind turbine can be a reliable source of additional income. With continued improvements in wind forecasting, electrical grid infrastructure, and energy storage, wind power might blow away all our energy problems.
Ở trên slide này cho chúng ta thấy về kích thước của tua bin gió. Đây là cái đường kính của tua bin gió lớn nhất. Hiện nay người ta chế tạo và đã lắp đặt vào năm 2018. Đường kính của tua bin gió này lên tới 230 mét và công suất của tua bin này là 12 MW. Còn cái biểu đồ dưới này cho chúng ta thấy là cái mức độ tăng về kích thước và tăng về công suất theo từng năm. Chúng ta thấy là đầu tiên vào năm 1980 người ta chế tạo cái tua bin gió có cái đường kính là 15 mét và công suất chỉ 50 kW thôi. Và đến năm 2003 thì chúng ta thấy là công suất đạt tới 5.000 kW và đường kính là 124 mét. Đối với Việt Nam chúng ta đây thì thông dụng lắp đặt các cái tua bin gió có công suất từ 1.500 cho đến 2.000 kW. Chúng ta xem tiếp một cái video clip về tua bin gió một cánh. Tua bin gió một cánh này đó người ta chế tạo chủ yếu là để tạo ra một cái hình ảnh nó tương đối độc đáo về cái khả năng phát điện của tua bin gió một cánh này đó, thì nó sẽ có cái hiệu suất không cao. Thế để cái tua bin gió này nó có thể quay được thì người ta sẽ phải chế tạo nó có cái tính đối xứng qua trục, như vậy nó mới hoạt động được. Ở trên slide này chúng ta thấy một số hình ảnh về tua bin gió. Đây là tua bin gió dạng 2 cánh và đây là tua bin gió dạng 3 cánh. Các tua bin gió này đều là những cái tua bin gió trục ngang. Chúng ta thấy là hầu hết hiện nay đó, các cái tua bin gió người ta đều chế tạo ở dạng 3 cánh. Do cái tua bin gió này nó có hiệu suất và cái tính kinh tế của nó là tối ưu. Đối với lại các tua bin gió này, khi mà người ta chế tạo 2 cánh đấy, thì hiệu suất nó sẽ không bằng hiệu suất của tua bin gió 3 cánh. Chế tạo cái tua bin gió càng nhiều cánh thì hiệu suất nó sẽ càng tăng, nhưng đổi lại nó lại có một cái vấn đề là cái chi phí chế tạo nó sẽ tăng lên. Một cái tua bin gió mà thêm 1 cánh thì như vậy chúng ta thấy chi phí nó sẽ tăng thêm. Hệ tua bin gió 3 cánh này, nếu như chúng ta chế tạo nó thêm 1 cánh nữa thì chúng ta sẽ thấy là chi phí nó tăng lên vào khoảng 20%. Trong khi đó hiệu suất của nó sẽ không tăng tương ứng, hiệu suất của nó chỉ tăng lên khoảng 5% thôi. Do đó cho nên trên thực tế hầu hết các tua bin gió người ta đều chế tạo nó ở cái dạng 3 cánh. Chúng ta xem một số các hình ảnh các cái tua bin gió ở các dạng khác nhau. Trước đây đó người ta đã chế tạo ra những cái tua bin gió, chúng ta thấy tua bin gió này người ta dùng cái cánh nó là bằng vải, hoặc đây đó là cái này nó là cái cối xay gió, người ta sử dụng để xay bột, hoặc là người ta sử dụng ở đây là cái dạng bơm nước. Cái tua bin gió này là tua bin gió trục đứng, nó sẽ có cái trục lên và các cái cánh nó như thế này đây. Một số các dạng tua bin gió dạng khác chúng ta cũng thấy đây là các cái dạng tua bin gió trục đứng. Còn ở đây là các cái tua bin gió 1 cánh, 2 cánh và 3 cánh. Để chúng ta xem tiếp một cái video clip nữa. Video clip này là cái video clip về phát triển điện gió ở Việt Nam. Chúng ta từ cách đây cũng khoảng 20 năm rồi. Đấy, từ những năm khoảng năm 2002, 2003 chúng ta đã bắt đầu triển khai về phát triển điện gió. Chúng ta sẽ xem cái video clip này để chúng ta thấy rõ hơn.
Around midday, the wind picks up every day, all year round. Muine in the province of Binh Thuan is a veritable hotspot for kite and windsurfers. Tourism is the daily bread for people like Canadian Matthew Qantas, who set up a surfing school here.
For wind sports, it's probably one of the best in Southeast Asia in terms of the length of the season and the amount of wind and the type of beach and the conditions. It's quite famous in Asia. It's quite good, yeah.
Now, the wind that keeps sport enthusiasts happy is also being harvested for energy purposes. Not far from Muine in Tui Phong, Vietnam's first ever wind power station has been connected to the grid. There are 12 wind turbines powered by energy supplier Vietnam Renewable Energy. Until now, there was little interest in investing in wind power. Purchasing prices were too low and the legal situation unclear. But the government wants investors and is now working with Germany's Agency for Technical Cooperation, GTZ, on a law to end that. Angelika Vasilka is advisor to the various ministries.
The greatest hurdle is the subsidization of conventional energies, which makes wind power comparatively more expensive. We need to advise the government about the advantages of wind power over conventional energy. It's environmentally friendly and doesn't produce carbon dioxide emissions.
Each of the wind turbines is 117 meters high and has an annual capacity of 1.5 megawatts. Until now, Vietnam has relied heavily on fossil fuels for its power. But it has to import much of its coal, gas, and oil from China. So switching to wind energy would make the country more independent.
The first wind farm, therefore, has political implications.
Và cụ thể là năng lượng gió là cái nguồn năng lượng đầu tiên mới.
Wind is a completely clean source of energy and protects our climate. We are the first in the country to use it like this. And although there are no legal regulations, the regional government of Binh Thuan has supported us in the construction of the first wind farms in Vietnam.
The wind farm was built by a company called Forlander, which also took on the job of training operating personnel. Vietnam doesn't yet offer suitable training courses, but the wind farm needs skilled employees.
It's important to offer training opportunities. Naturally, we can't start off with schools for thousands of people, but we can teach those people who will be working with the technology to know what they're talking about.
Ho Chi Minh City is the largest in Vietnam. GTZ has organized a training session here. The students are learning how to choose the right location for a wind farm. The most important thing is to take accurate wind measurements.
Now we change 1.5. Yes.
Without them, it's impossible to know how strong the wind will be.
Little mistakes in wind measurements can affect the feasibility of a project. That was a problem in Germany for a long time. The wind measurements were bad, they were too optimistic. And after 2 or 3 years, we saw that there were years when wind resources simply weren't good.
Developers and investors have to be patient, because it takes years of measuring wind levels to get a realistic picture. The training session is also the first time people from Vietnam's fledgling industry have come together.
Somewhere here they do the wind, somewhere here they do the wind, but we don't know each other. But now they create a community, they create a network so that everybody can know that, okay, that guy do this, we can come to talk to find any chance to work. Yeah, that's good.
The network is growing, but most investors are holding back, waiting for a legally binding feed-in tariff and a purchase commitment on the part of energy suppliers. Only then will they be able to make reliable calculations.
There are many national developers who have already registered plans for 2,000 megawatt projects. That means they've already viewed locations and are taking measurements and conducting feasibility studies. So when a law which supports wind energy finally comes into force, development here will be fast.
Vietnam's energy needs are growing by about 15% every year, and supplies often run low. Air pollution in places like Ho Chi Minh City is increasing dramatically. This is contributing to climate change. To counter this, a national master plan proposes that almost 5% of electricity be wind generated by 2020. The wind farm in Binh Thuan is already being expanded. Within a few years, it will be home to 60 wind turbines. And many other farms like it will spring up along Vietnam's coastline. 2,000 kilometers have been deemed suitable for the purpose. Surfers in Mui Ne often spend hours on end in the water because wind conditions are constant. Wind power has already made this place famous.